Thanks, Danielle. Next we have Mark. And Mark, if you just want to drop just some very simple information about yourself.
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
We can hear you just
Okay.
fine.
All right. Well, great. I'm Mark Galbraith, and I'm the president of the Elmhurst Neighborhood Association.
Thanks, Mark.
Mhm.
Anne, if you can hear me and would like to join in. And if not, that's okay too. She's still on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I wasn't able to get unmuted. I finally did it, but now I don't know what I'm on my phone and it's not behaving very well. So I may
help you
have
out.
to, huh?
I'll help you out.
Okay, I'm Ann Marshall from Chesney Park. I'm just planning on listening. Let me see what I can find here. If I can get back to the regular one here.
If not, I can mute you. It's not a problem.
Okay, well, I don't mind mute. I can mute it, I think, but I'm not. That's not it. I'm on where it's just me and I can't get back to looking at you people.
Okay,
So
it's
just
all
ignore me.
good. No problem.
I may have to go back and I don't know what to push here.
No worries. We'll just keep moving forward. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
I think if you swipe over when you're on your phone, it changes screens. So like swipe across.
I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. I hope this is the right one. Or no, actually, I need Danielle. I think yours.
Yep, I sure can.
Thank you so kindly. So tonight we're just kind of meeting with like-minded individuals. We've basically come together for the purpose of, well, there's two purposes. First, we are working to get the city to reconsider its vote to put in a store, a dollar store in the 1400 block of Southwest. What was it, Mike? 1400?
1404 Southwest 17th.
1404 Southwest 17th, which is currently a commercial zone, and the developers are looking to turn it into mixed use, and part of that is bringing in a dollar store. So that's the first issue that we're going to be kind of tackling. And then the second issue is the proliferation of dollar stores around Topeka and how we can work together to get the city and the powers that be to understand that these stores actually create economic downturns in their own unique ways. And so Mike will be speaking to that part. I will be speaking to the notification process. And then we just invite you guys to share your thoughts and your feelings, because this is really your space to feel comfortable to let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what you want your city council people, your representatives, to know about the proliferation of dollar stores and what you think the process should be for notifying as many people as possible so that as many voices that can be heard get into the space and are able to share. So with that, I think we're going to pull up the agenda if we have the space.
My computer just did something funny. I'm sorry. Let me do that. Let me try that again.
Okay.
Are you seeing it now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. I'm click something funky. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So I think, Mike, would you like to speak to, because you put the agenda together, would you like to speak to the different pieces of this document, if that's okay?
Sure. What we started out with, and Mark could speak to this more directly than I could, but there was a realization during the process of the Dollar Tree people asking for zoning changes at 1404 Southwest 17th that would enable the establishment of a dollar store at that location, we discovered that city policy and the way that the city customarily handles those things is that there is neighborhood organization notification and city council member notification. And regarding this particular request, there was not a complete neighborhood organization notification. We note that the College Hill Neighborhood Association, which borders 17th Street, was not notified of this. And from what I understand, the Chesney Park NIA, which is located just south of 17th, also did not receive formal notification of this zoning change.
Did you ever ask him?
We also know that at least one city council member, Hannah Nager from District 6, which borders 17th, also was not included in the notification process. And so what we ultimately had was a city council that acted affirmatively on that zoning request change, including holding the hearings, but those hearings happened without our participation, without the participation of those people who had concerns about there being a Dollar Tree at that location. And so what ultimately happened was that we had a governing body that passed legislation without it being fully heard and commented on. So we're asking the governing body to go back and provide redress for those oversights, and also ultimately from a macro standpoint to start looking at the issue of the creation of dollar stores as something that the city needs to hit the pause button on and fully understand what they mean regarding the establishment or maintaining grocery stores, and how they are in often competition with grocery stores, and because of their lower prices in areas where the two may compete, grocery stores and dollar stores, the dollar stores come out ahead. And so what it leads to is a continuation, if not an exacerbation, of the food desert issue that we have in the city of Topeka, where fresh meats, fruits, and vegetables are not immediately available within a 1 mile radius of a number of people in our city. There are maps that are provided later on in this presentation that will show the locations of dollar stores and grocery stores. And what those maps will reveal is that the majority of the dollar stores are located in low-income areas, the very areas where we need to have grocery stores. And it will also show that in the city of Topeka, the majority of grocery stores are either north of Highway 24 or west of McVicker. There's a huge service hole regarding grocery stores in central Topeka, east Topeka, southeast Topeka, and Oakland.
Right. Michael, I might add that the Elmhurst Neighborhood Association also wasn't notified.
Right.
And I actually, just to be certain about that, and to be certain that we should have been notified, I did call the city planning office and spoke with them. And the person I spoke with said, well, let me look on the map to be certain about that. And he did. And they said, yes, your neighborhood should have been notified. I mean, we are just sort of barely in the radius, but nevertheless, we are within it. And I think that counts. I might also say, because it will come up if we're able to move forward, that the city says notifying residents in a certain radius around where the zoning change would take effect is done by code or by local law, city code. and that the notification of neighborhood associations is done by policy, a policy the city has devised and followed for a number of years. And I think our argument is that, well, if it's city policy and it works for others, it ought to work for us.
Correct.
And the city ought to go back, re-examine that, and as Michael said, give us a do-over.
And all of that's right on the mark. And I would add, of course, we are directly east of Elmhurst in Tennessee Town. We didn't receive any notification. And we also know from Wayne Roberts, who is the president of the Historic Holiday Park NIA, which is directly east of us, that they didn't receive any notification either.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead.
All right. We may touch on this, but I just say that this is really about the notification. So I think I'll just hold my comments until later, Shamika. Because I was going to talk about other cities, but let's hold off on that for a bit.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I just wanted to point out for those who need that information, I did drop the link into the city's self-described notification process. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to a page that will basically outline the different ways that they notify, who gets notified, the time frames, all of those pieces are in that link. So please do check it out on your free time if you get some time, or now if it moves you. So no, that's perfect. Thanks, Mark. Jaron asks a wonderful question. And I don't know if we want to wait, but I'll just kind of throw it out to the group and we'll decide if it feels right to start talking about it now, or if we should give it some time. So Jaron's question is, what does redress even look like at this point? They have already approved the rezoning, and we do have a method or tool to have the city to reconsider that vote. There we go. We do have a tool to have the city reconsider that vote due to the fact that the number of neighborhoods that should have been notified but weren't notified actually can pull back the vote. I'm not sure what that would be called exactly. So recall the vote, I guess. I don't know if we could speak to that more directly. Mike, do you feel like we could speak to that more directly? Or
I think ultimately, I don't know that there's anything specifically in the law that would demand a redress. So I guess ultimately we're relying on the consciences of our elected officials and the weight that we can bring to bear as their constituents to make them understand that we were excluded from this process when we should have been included.
Right. So I guess it looks like at this point, we would need someone on council to sponsor a ordinance of some sort to be taken up, or an amendment post passing of the rezoning of some sort.
Yeah.
Something
And have to
like that.
reconsider that vote.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
which is we've been in conversation with Hannah Nager about that possibility. Sylvia Ortiz might also be an option. Obviously, Karen Hiller would be an option. It's just really a matter of will they take up that mantle? I think that's really kind of been the question that has been left hanging. So that I think I'll add that to the list of questions moving forward, is who to contact to take up that responsibility.
And again, a lot of that will come from us and the amount of pressure that we can bring to bear on our elected officials to do what I consider to be the right thing in this case, and to go back and correct the oversights that happened regarding notification and the hearing that occurred as well. So yeah, it's a political issue now, more so than it being a legal issue. And of course, one of the opportunities we have here, and this is not an endorsement of any candidate, but as you know, 4 of the 9 city council seats are up for election this year. Just the even numbered districts, 2, 4, 6, and 8.
I'm just listening to this, so.
Are you on mute?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, District 6 having the most direct impact, but those are up for election. And so there's the notification issue and the hearing issue, and then also the macro issue of how do we approach dollar stores going forward. And those are questions that all of those candidates should have to answer.
Michael, so has filing a zone complaint, has that been done yet? So I was pulling up the city website on it, that under the zoning enforcement, citizens can file official complaints regarding zoning issues. And then once those complaints are, likely just like whatever, and they go past them, there's an appeal process as well.
Right.
Has that process been thought about?
Not seriously. And I don't want to dismiss it. And I do agree it's something that we should do so that we can show, looking back, that all of the I's have been dotted and T's have been crossed. The city attorney's opinion on that kind of puts a damper on that. Having said that, though, yeah, it's one of the many things that we should do and see what happens.
Thanks, Mike. Does anyone else have any other like burning questions that they'd like to jump in with now before we move on to the next part? And I'm going through to check if anyone has hand raised. Nope. Okay, cool. So next on the agenda, we do have the press release from the Foods Coalition, just kind of talking a little bit more about the process of what occurred and why we're trying to work to undo this. I guess I'll give us a couple minutes to look it over and just see if there's anything that jumps out at you that you're interested in understanding more about. And Mark, if you want to jump in with anything here, that would be awesome.
Okay.
I kind of have a question about how this works. I mean, it was designated as a mixed use district, which usually I'm in support of, but did the Dollar Tree get like a separate, the Dollar General get like Dollar Tree get like approved itself directly, or was it just for the mixed use housing? And then the Dollar Tree was like, yes, we're going to go in. Because if we had mixed use and we had like an actual real grocery store, that might actually be good. But how did they approve that?
Well, I think the change was asked for by the developer, and I don't think the issue of the Dollar Tree or dollar store came up. At least that's what I've surmised from reading minutes of that meeting. And it is mixed use, and I think we'd support that. If that could mean, for example, housing, above those retail shops. But I think you could argue, and I think you could make a good case that the Dollar Tree might not, it might not work to bring a Dollar Tree in, or the Dollar Tree might not come if the developer didn't get the zoning change.
I'm reading just reading the minutes from the one community meeting that was had, and the Dollar Tree president, as well as, or the director of leasing in the Midwest for Dollar Trees, Casey's General Store, real estate manager, were both present during the meetings. So I think they did make knowledge that those were the two. Yep, it specifically states, talking specifically about Dollar Tree edition. So it was a specific, just clarifying from the minutes.
Right. And that's valuable. And it's noteworthy to understand there are three major chains: Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, and Dollar General. And Dollar Tree and Family Dollar are owned by the same parent company. So really, we're talking about two different companies dominating these dollar stores.
Are there any other questions or thoughts that folks want to jump out with at this time?
I don't know if this is the best time for this, but I'm seeing in this slide that it is requesting City of Topeka to focus on attentions on the issues of food deserts and food/nutrition insecurity by supporting existing or establishing new full-service grocery stores with healthier food options. What does that mean? Are we like lobbying to get that input, like something about food deserts to be input in like a master plan? Is it just us talking to our council members? Or like I don't know if there's like a more concrete strategy that you guys were looking at.
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I see that as a concrete request that our elected and appointed officials start thinking about food deserts and food and nutrition insecurity in serious terms, and to understand that there are repercussions to be had by defaulting our food delivery system to dollar stores where the food is processed, where having access to fresh meats, fruits, and vegetables is limited at best, in addition to all of the other things that happen with dollar stores that are not related to diet, with employment and other issues, and how they're not really economic development in the way that's supporting grocery stores, either existing ones or creating grocery stores in food deserts in the ways that they are supportive of those goals. And so I'm looking at it as a formal policy request that the city council in particular start to think about these things and just not, haphazardly grant zoning requests just because it happens to be proposing the creation of a new business.
Yeah, and I think what's maybe important a little bit on that background information too, just in case maybe not everyone is familiar of the food desert created in that area, just down the block, a little ways when the Dillons was closed. And I know many people on this call can speak better than I, but, grassroots people had to work over the last several years to actually raise funding to get a grocery store put in, that the city was really not present in helping with at a large extent, requiring the community to figure out how to get a grocery store in this massive food desert after closing it and putting in Grace Med. So the history of that a little bit has been that they're not making it a priority, and then in turn just perpetuating this constant detriment by putting in these dollar stores. And you'll notice that all throughout town, that they're located very strategically. And that is done. There's actually a really good documentary about it, how they have this big old map and where's a Walmart, where's a food desert. And I personally was serving kiddos at a community center recently and I was serving breakfast for dinner and I forgot milk. And so the only thing around was a Dollar General. And I ran in and it was $6 a gallon. $6. So the history of that being, the city has not been involved in correcting those kinds of issues and leaving it up to the community to figure out how to make better options. So it's a tumbling effect of now look what they've kind of sideswiped and gone right past it without doing the work.
Although
Okay.
at this point, I do want to jump in by saying this. The Central Topeka Grocery Oasis is in no way, shape, or form connected with this effort, the effort on behalf of foods to address these issues. So I just want to be on the record as saying that. But I also want to extend on that, one doesn't have to be geography specific on this issue. I remember the pain that came about in Oakland when Mike's IGA closed, and the insult that happened when a dollar store went in to where Mike's IGA used to be. I know the pain that still goes on in East Topeka because the Food for Less closed at Eastboro. And so these are issues that are citywide. They are just not specific to a specific geographic area. And I would certainly sign off with everything that Danielle said, that the city has to change its focus here and really to take in the long-term consequences of the decision-making that it does regarding this. And so that's all we're asking. We're not asking that dollar stores be abolished, not at all. Just put the brakes on and start looking at this issue from more than just the creation of a dollar store, because there's more at stake than that.
I agree with what's been said by everyone. And I think Michael's right. We want to ask the city to take a pause with this and let's consider this issue with a bigger frame of reference. And for the real needs of the people in Central Topeka, those needs have been neglected and worse for a very long time. And I think there's a lot of agreement that it's time to do something more positive. And I think we can go to our city and say, we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones asking for this. There are a number of cities. I think 50, maybe 50 plus cities that have responded in some way to the proliferation of dollar stores in their communities. They've done a number of things. I can't talk about them all tonight, but they've done special overlays so that food needs are considered, and a number of other things. And I think we need to bring that to the city and say, Topeka should look at this, either sign their planning department to work with community people, but sign some staff to take a look at this. Or if our staff can't do that, then maybe the city needs to hire a consultant. I had just a little conversation with planning about that, and they said, that could be done in a number of ways. So just wanted to add that.
Yep, spot on, Mark. And if Danielle, if you can scroll forward a little bit under dollar store restrictions, some of the discussion that Mark was talking about is covered there.
Oh, keep going. The next
Yeah, one more.
document.
I think it's the one after this one.
Keep going, Mike.
Yep.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Okay, you just tell
That's
me.
okay. One more page, I think, and we, nope, those are the maps. One more page. There we are, dollar store restrictions. And that basically is our appeal to the governing body to start to take a look at responses to this coming explosion. You can't say that it's arrived full force in Topeka, but nationally, there's been an explosion of these stores. And that's included in some of the material that's a part of our meeting tonight as well. So it's coming. And so we have a chance here to be proactive in how we deal with that.
Yep. And thanks, Mike, for clarifying. That's actually kind of what I was getting at.
Right.
In my mind, because I'm a bureaucrat. So when I think of policy versus politics, it's kind of what I was meant. Like, are we working towards getting this integrated into like the Topeka master plan, like through the planning department? Is it strictly like political pressure that we're applying to our, our representative? I mean, it's probably going to be both, but like
All of
I
the
just want to
above.
make sure. Yeah, I would push more towards like a long-term master plan kind of view to make sure that these things get nipped in the bud, or we can at least be conscious about it going forward, gets codified somewhere, some way. So
Yes.
that's awesome. Okay.
Spot on, sir.
So I think, let me just see where we are in our agenda. Okay. So I think we touched on like where the dollar stores are in Topeka. Would you guys like to take a moment to look at that more closely, or do we all feel comfortable with the basic understanding of the fact that they are? I think Mike and I talked a little bit about it today, and I think pretty
Right.
much all the Dollar General, dollar stores are in close proximity to either family housing of some sort, so apartment complexes, usually ones that kind of probably take the Section 8 and or in a commercial zone where there tends to be a lot of traffic by low-income individuals in that area. But if we're good on that, then we could possibly move forward.
Right.
Feels like we're good on that. Okay. Let me see where we're at, Danielle, where we're at for time. We have about a little less than 20 minutes left. Sorry, I'm trying to toggle between my screens. Okay, so considerations in drafting an ordinance to limit dollar store development. So we have a couple different options I think I've heard tonight. First, the option was to contact a city council person to potentially take up the responsibility of having the vote redone for this specific complex. The second was to file a zoning complaint, possibly as an option to kind of slow down the process. And so that third option that I think Jaron was kind of speaking to is how do we draft an ordinance or present an ordinance to the city for slowing down that process. Mike, did you
And to
pull
make
this?
changes to the appropriate plans. Yes.
Did you pull these considerations together? Or was this Andy that pulled these together?
Actually, these are part of an article.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, if you scroll back a page, I think it's by Kennedy Smith. Yes. With
Okay.
the Institute for Local Self-Reliance.
Right.
Okay, I think because it's a little bit word heavy, we probably won't spend too much time on this unless someone has a question and wants to kind of dig deeper into this. We could probably just focus on the considerations.
Sure. I think I would point out, I think those methods that we might read through and talk about and maybe decide to move forward with. I think those have been tried by other cities, I believe, which I think suggests that they might be approved by courts if they went to court. And that's just important because when you talk about limiting, when you talk about saying no to a type of store, that can get you into legal trouble, like a dollar store. But again, a number of cities are interested in this, concerned about the impact of dollar type stores on their community. So they tried various approaches. Some of them are listed here, and I believe many of them have been tried or implemented. And I think we should feel good about that.
You know, one thing I'm going to recommend, and it's just for me personally, and it's a first blush reaction, so take it with that consideration. Since we know, based on national trends, that this explosion of dollar stores is going to hit us sometime soon, I would suggest that our governing body consider a moratorium on any and all applications for new dollar stores until we can address issues in our policy documents, and also where we can actually come up with a plan to answer that oncoming explosion of dollar stores. I personally, and again, just me, I like the dispersal ordinances where that put limits between dollar stores. 1 to 5 miles typically has been what's been seen in most dispersal ordinances, or doing something with the conditional use process of our zoning regs so that this issue is reflected. So again, maybe that's pie in the sky thinking, and maybe that's asking for too much, but that's kind of where I'm at, because I think we need a pause here. And what we don't need is a whole lot of dollar stores then submitting applications while we're trying to be deliberative.
Yeah, I mean, I think good point is that they don't even need to submit applications if there's no zoning change made. I mean, if they come in and buy property, there are rights that go along with that property. So they're free to come in and set up if they don't need a zoning change. Maybe some other stipulations, but in general, I think that's true.
They are, and what I'm saying, I guess, they would be free to do that, but they would also be aware of the moratorium.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. The moratorium would be
right.
I think
so if they still want to do that, that's certainly their right.
Yeah,
right.
But the moratorium would put an end to that for the length of the moratorium.
Right.
Give us time to talk with the city. Yeah, a good recommendation, I think.
So with all those pieces in mind, so that ups our possible options to a moratorium, to create an ordinance that responds to this. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
That way the city attorney can't say that we don't have something on the books.
Okay. All right. Heard. Okay. So we have, let's see, about 10 minutes left, which brings us basically to the end of our presentation, which is just trying to figure out what the way forward is going to look like. This is a current list of who all is on the Topeka City Council. As Mike mentioned at the top of the town hall, we know that District 2, District 4, District 6, and District 8 all have opponents running there. So we do have, I think Christina is the incumbent. Who else is running? That's an incumbent. Spencer is an incumbent, but Tony Emerson and Hannah Nager will be out at the end of their term. So it's really crucial, or we would appreciate not only contacting all the city council members now, but also looking to see who is running in the districts where they are up for election, and getting them, caught up on where we're at, how you feel currently. so that coming into the council, they know that this is unacceptable, really. It's an unacceptable economic practice for a city that is striving to be better and wants to do better. So I've dropped in earlier the information on how to contact those individuals. Oh, Danielle,
Yes.
did you have something you wanted to say? Or was that someone else's feedback?
Not me.
Okay. I do believe we have Marcus Miller in the house, who is running in District 6. Marcus, do you want to take a moment to kind of tell us what your position is, if that's allowed?
It's allowed, and I appreciate the time. I am getting up on my education on this situation. My initial thought is that I would like us to see that Dillon's or some type of food market come up before that store comes up, if at all. I'm not a huge fan of another dollar store, but I understand why they want it. Okay, I get that part of it, but I would want us to have a grocery store in that area before that.
Is there anything that we can do or get to you in terms of information that would help you to make a better informed, help you with a better understanding?
Correct. Yes, any information you would like me to know, please send that to Marcus at marcusmillerfortopeka.com. It's MARCUS at MARCUSMILLER for Topeka.com. I'm happy to hear any information you have. And if you would like to meet with me, please send an email and we will make sure that you get on the calendar.
Awesome.
I just we can send you a link to information we have, but I just thought I'd mention to all of you that there is a link to a really good piece in that announcement that we sent you. It's an article that appears in a publication called Next City, and it does a really good job, I think, of summing up concerns about dollar stores and their proliferation. That is one of the concerns. They tend to multiply, but that article goes way beyond that. Good information, worth reading. I was hoping maybe we could spend some time tonight, but there just isn't time to talk about those various reasons that people are concerned about dollar stores, kind of what their marketing policy is, what they do and how they work and how that has an impact on other kinds of grocery stores. It's not by accident. The fact they don't add a lot to a community because they don't hire many people, they don't pay high wages, they don't pay really good benefits. They're often located, based out of town, out of state, and if they don't keep their property up, the exterior of their property up, or along the interior, often the city can't bring the power of code compliance on them to make them do so. And the list kind of goes on and on. I'm not saying that's the case for every dollar store, but the article is worth reading. You may know that you could probably go back and find it, that KCUR recently did a long piece on dollar type stores in their one of their 1A episodes. A really good piece. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. There's so much information out here, and we're so happy to send out anything that anyone would like further information on. It's a really, you can easily deep dive into this. So it's an hour is not enough time to really kind of invest into everything. Last thoughts or concerns, considerations that you guys want to share so that we kind of have the way forward? And this is just an all call. It doesn't matter who wants to speak. This is just your time to share your thoughts with the last 5 minutes we have.
I will say that I do hope that I hear from some of you to meet with you and learn more on this subject. I am very much interested in this subject.
You absolutely will.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
Also, just for clarity, whose district is this in?
District 1, it's in Karen Hiller's district. It's in the southwestern corner of that district, but that's where technically it's located. But of course, pardon me, it's essentially on the border of 3 council districts, District 6, which is along 17th, and District 5, which is along, District 6, which is along Washburn, and District 5, which is along 17th.
And 3, which is just south.
Yes.
That's
'cause
what I meant to say.
Sylvia. Yeah.
That's what I
Sylvia.
meant to say, District 3.
Gotcha.
Sylvia Ortiz's district.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, because at the community meeting, there was no council members present. There was just
Right.
3 community members.
Yeah.
So
And I really appreciate Mr. Miller's attendance tonight. They all were notified of this meeting, but we'll be following up with them.
well, I meant the community meeting that they did, to talk about it or
Yeah,
whatever.
where the Dollar Tree people were there.
Yeah, that no council member was. There was 11. There were 11 people total. 3 of them were from the community. The rest were all the business people or zoning people. So
Yep.
just curious.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's fairly typical for these kinds of things. And of course, it's difficult for us when they don't tell us.
Yeah. Was we could have reached out to residents of our neighborhoods and hopefully had a bigger turnout.
Absolutely.
But what's the old Margaret Mead quote? Never
through
doubt.
power.
There you go.
Of a small group, right?
Yep. Indeed, as far as affecting change. And then
Yeah.
she says, indeed, it's the only thing that ever has affected change. And so all great movements started in somebody's kitchen.
Well, on that note,
We just need to be as loud as obnoxious as the people who show up for like book bannings and things like that. So
Good point.
well, we will, at least for those who are here tonight, I think we have emails for just about everybody. So we can follow up with you. And it's up to you how deeply involved you want to be, whether that's just reaching out to your council person, or if you're like, hey, I have the gift, as Jaron was kind of saying, I'm a bureaucrat and I can help you to kind of figure out what the policy could be for something like this. I mean, we welcome your gifts into this space. And we also understand that people who usually show up for things like this are people who are busy, who care about a lot of different things. And we also understand that. So whatever time that you're willing to share with us, or gifts or talents that you're willing to share, would be totally appreciated. So